The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election, Mr. Peter Obi, has, through his aide Oseleka Obaze, responded to a false and misleading claim made by his former campaign DG Doyin Okupe that his campaign mantra "from consumption to production" was not backed by a policy document. Doyin Okupe, in his relentless and continual attack on the person of Mr. Peter Obi, has said Tinubu Renew Hope policy has a superior policy document compared to Mr. Peter Obi. He said Tinubu has meticulously implemented his Renew Hope agenda, adding that the president has also paid off crippling debt to stabilize the economy. However, Oseleka Obaze has responded to Doyin Okupe's misleading and false claim, calling it badadash, asking him to go see a doctor because he might be suffering from amnesia. On his official X account, he wrote, "I have long resisted reacting to Doyin Okupe's diatribe on Peter Obi, but my Ebon friend overreached and assumed the role of a bigula in stating on record that Obi's consumption to production mantra was not backed by any policy document. That's badadash. Here is the evidence." What a shame. How low can people stoop? As Obi DG, Dr. Okupe chaired the finalization of this policy document. Perhaps he has a touch of amnesia, where he should know he is a medical doctor. At this point, it's obvious that Doyin Okupe, a 72-year-old fellow that should be resting at home with his family and grandkids, a 72-year-old fellow that should serve as an elder statesman, a role model to younger generation, is trying everything possible to outdo whatever Daniel Bwala did for Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his attack dog role. Having seen Daniel Bwala being rewarded for attacking Mr. Peter Obi, Doyin Okupe, who was Peter Obi's former campaign DG, is doing everything possible to outshine him. It's rather crazy that a man at his age who should be thinking and reflecting on what he has contributed to the nation, or being at home resting with his kids, contributing as an elder statesman to ensure that Nigeria become better, is rather working with a government that has made life miserable for Nigerians. In a bid to outsmart a young Daniel Bwala and Reno Omokri, Doyin Okupe is lying through his nose. His praise of Bola Ahmed Tinubu Renew Hope policy document and claims of significant debt reduction under Tinubu administration appear misleading when examined critically. Since Tinubu assumed office in May 2023, his administration has accumulated substantial new debts. Nigeria's Debt Management Office revealed that Tinubu's government has borrowed approximately 7 trillion in 6 months alone. This new debt of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has further increased Nigeria's debt profile. While Doyin Okupe lauded policies like fuel subsidy removal and the foreign exchange reform as bold and necessary, he failed to address the significant economic hardship these measures have caused fellow Nigerians. Nigeria inflation has surged past 25%, and the living conditions for many Nigerians have worsened under Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reforms. Having a policy document like Renew Hope does not guarantee effective governance. While the document outlines ambiguous goals, the practical implementation has often fallen short, like we've seen under Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. I don't know why Nigerians are so obsessed with a glossy document. Even though many of the economic policies are well-intentioned, many of them lack sufficient planning to caution the negative effect on citizens. For a government to be successful, it requires not only good intention but also strategic execution, robust public engagement and accountability. All these are lacking in Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, and Doyin Okupe knows this. But because he is someone that has sold his soul for a morsel of bread, he decided to lie through his nose. Making a comparison between Bola Ahmed Tinubu policy document and that of Mr. Peter Obi is laughable, is mischievous from Doyin Okupe, and he knows it. Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not for once defend what he has in his document. While in Chatham House in the United Kingdom, he was asked questions on what is contained in his policy document. He relegated those questions to the people that followed him there. One of the persons that answered the question regarding to what is contained in his policy document is El-Rufai on security. But today, El-Rufai is not even part of his cabinet member. Whereas Mr. Peter Obi traveled to every part of this country, held town hall meetings, attended interviews and debates, explaining every single details in his policy document while Tinubu was busy dancing. Peter Obi policy document clearly outlined his vision for transitioning Nigeria from a consumption-driven economy to a production-based one. It offers a detailed framework to address the systemic challenge hindering Nigeria's development. Peter Obi, while targeting key sectors, focus on economic diversification, youth empowerment, infrastructure development, and social cohesion. One of the key areas that Mr. Peter Obi focused is the agrarian revolution and export-oriented industrialization. Using the uncultivated, abandoned vast land in the north, Mr. Peter Obi emphasized agriculture as a backbone of Nigeria's economy. Mr. Peter Obi mentioned countries like Bangladesh, Netherlands, Egypt that have smaller landmass than Niger State in Nigeria, but these countries are getting more money from agricultural export than Nigeria is getting from crude oil production. Mr. Peter Obi even cited an African country like Kenya that has involved the services of women in the production and exportation of flour, and said, why can't a state like Plateau State involve in the production of flour despite having a favorable soil for the production of flour? Mr. Peter Obi promised to revive the textile industry in Nigeria to compete with other countries in the world. Peter Obi's vision on agriculture is revolutionary, one that Tinubu's administration can only dream of. Peter Obi did not only stop at farming and exportation, he also envisioned developing agro-processing industries to maximize the value of raw products, thereby creating jobs and boosting export earnings. Another key sector that Mr. Peter Obi focused on that has been abandoned by several governments in the past is infrastructure and overhauling of our seaports. Peter Obi mentioned countries like Morocco that is leveraging on their seaports to boost their economy. There is no reason why Nigeria, a country of over 280 million persons, we have just one seaport in this country. It is an abysmal failure. Having just one seaport in this country is the reason why imported goods are very expensive in this country. One seaport has led to high logistic costs, and the high logistic costs have made Nigerian goods uncompetitive globally. This has equally discouraged manufacturers from manufacturing goods in this country. After all, what is the needs of just manufacturing goods that will just be consumed by people in this country? Your goods that will not be exported to international markets. Peter Obi's plan was to reform the port operation, reduce bureaucracy, and improve road and rail connectivity to facilitate seamless movement of goods and services. One of the examples he cited was to connect Aba and Port Harcourt via railway. We all know that Aba is an industrial hub in the east. Connecting Aba to Port Harcourt will open up mass opportunities for people in Port Harcourt to have access to goods and services, and this will in turn boost the economy. As it stands, people hardly travel to Aba because of bad road. Imagine what a good railway system would have done to the economy. Another way Mr. Peter Obi planned to move Nigeria from consumption to production is to reform the power sector. Ever since Bola Tinubu became the president, the national anthem on everyone's lip is the collapse of the national grid. Before now, even under a colossal failure like President Muhammadu Buhari, we hardly hear of national grid collapse, but that has become a recurring decimal under Bola Tinubu administration. Energy is crucial for industrialization. There is no country in the world that has boosted her economy with that energy. During the election campaign, Peter Obi traveled to Egypt to study how they were able to improve and increase their power generation to 55,000 megawatts. Nigeria is currently still struggling with 4,000 megawatts. Another focus on Mr. Peter Obi's policy document is youth empowerment and human capital development. Nigeria has a demographic advantage that has been ignored by successive governments, and this has led to youth restiveness, which has led to insecurity in the country. Peter Obi was quoted as saying, "The youth we abandoned yesterday are the ones that are giving us issues today via insecurity." Youth restiveness is what is contributing to the insecurity in the north. Not utilizing our demographic advantage is the reason why we cannot even feed ourselves. Peter Obi policies focus on preparing youth for future industries. He specifically mentions STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics, as well as vocational training for blue-collar jobs. Peter Obi also talk about small scale and medium enterprise. This is one of the key areas that Mr. Peter Obi said that he is going to utilize in order to move Nigeria from consumption to production. Mr. Peter Obi also talked about making loan available for young businesses and also mandating banks to give specific percentage of loan to those that are willing to engage into production and businesses. Of course, we know that education and health sector were not left out in Peter Obi's manifesto. Peter Obi is very passionate about education and health. Even after losing the election, he has been going around the country investing and donating his personal money to education and the health sector. I can go on and on explaining Mr. Peter Obi policies document. Bola Ahmed Tinubu policy document has no match to that of Mr. Peter Obi. Why Bola Ahmed Tinubu policy document is just a glossy paper, Mr. Peter Obi policy document is implementable. Okupe just being mischievous. At the age of 72, Okupe just seeking to align himself with Nigerian current political establishment for personal or financial gain. Okupe feels that supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration will offer him access to patronage and protection. Doyin Okupe now speaking for Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a strategy for economic survival. It's however so unfortunate that we have to deal with this kind of character in our country. Elderly statesmen that should serve as a role model to the young people in this country. They are the ones that are dishing out shame on a daily basis. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.